Throughout history, Italy has remained an intriguing case of economic fluctuations. From sudden collapses to miraculous economic comebacks, Italy's economy has had its fair share of erratic behavior. However, the multifaceted nature of economic issues that Italy faces right now has made it a topic of discussion for many economic think tanks. But what is happening in Italy right now? To put it slightly, Italy's entrenched in a sea of economic worries at the moment. Not only have they accumulated a hefty government debt, but Italy also faces serious inflation coupled with insignificant GDP growth. Not to mention, their aging population is only adding more fuel to the fire. Their tax revenues are unreliable to say the least, and their once world-leading industries have been outcompeted. But this wasn't always the case for Italy. With its high-quality production techniques and unparalleled trade advantages, Italy has historically often found itself at the pinnacle of European economies. It also had a significant inflow of funds through mass tourism and boasted unparalleled industries in fashion and textiles. Thus, with its flourishing trade and bustling industries, Italy was destined to overtake every other European economy. So, what went wrong? How did Italy get themselves in this mess? Can they ever climb out of it? What makes their condition so unique? Let's find out, but before we delve deeper and answer these intriguing questions, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more updates, and ring that bell so you never miss out on our exciting videos. Italy, like most other European economies, found itself in a vulnerable position after the conclusion of World War II. It had to literally build itself from the ground up and create space for itself in the sporadically growing world market. But to get up and running, Italy found great help in the form of foreign aid from the USA as part of the Marshall Plan. Post-World War II, the USA was intent on rebuilding European countries to create loyal allies along the Mediterranean Sea. Luckily for Italy, it was placed right on the European trade route of the Mediterranean. This strategic locality of Italy not only meant they could secure aid from the USA, but it was also a geographic hedge as far as trade routes were concerned. Italy's placement right on the edge of the Mediterranean Sea meant that all of European trade had to bypass Italy, making it a hub for economic and industrial activity. Italy strategically used the proceeds resulting from this geographic fluke of nature to convert its wartime industries to proper manufacturing industries. Before long, Italy excelled in many industries that its other European counterparts struggled in, such as machinery, textiles, and more. It even boasted a strong manufacturing base that was unparalleled in Europe. More importantly, Italy has a great reputation for producing high-quality and durable goods, which creates a significant demand for Italian exports. Where many countries had to cut into their profits to reduce the costs of their exports, Italy had to simply produce goods in its geographical boundaries, and their demand skyrocketed. Unsurprisingly, Italy became one of the leading economies of Europe as the 1980s rolled by. By 1992, Italy's GDP was worth a staggering $1.32 trillion, which was thrice its GDP just 7 years before. Safe to say, Italy was cruising into the ranks of world-leading economies. So what exactly caused this prospering economy to come crashing down? To begin with, Italy has always relied on foreign aid to ensure the smooth functioning of its economy since the beginning. Such dependence on other countries doesn't make for a self-sustaining economy. By the end of the 1990s, Italy began betting on its future success and started borrowing irresponsibly high amounts of money from other countries, and before they knew it, they had accumulated a debt that would take them years, if not decades, to pay off. To pay off these debts and become self-sustained, Italy required a sound tax collection system. Unluckily for them, they couldn't establish one in time. Tax loopholes were rampant in Italy, and their tax collection was one of the lowest in all of Europe. Italy had no efficient policies in place to tax their fast-growing industries, and poorly planned interventions only led to more tax evasion as time went on. Italians also held a negative perception of their state, which was mainly fueled by the church-state conflict, which further reduced incentives to responsibly pay taxes to the state. While significant and effective taxation was one method to get out of the muddle Italy had landed itself in, an expansionary move was another. Though unwillingly done, reduced taxation meant that there would be more spending in the economy and help grow the economy and, hopefully, pay off whatever it owed to other countries. Thus, with these unintended expansionary moves and inclusion in the Eurozone, Italy soon reached new heights and once again became one of the fastest-growing economies in the world. So it's interesting to see how Italy almost always finds itself in a pickle and miraculously manages to claw its way back again. But the question arises, can Italy pull it off once again? Italy faces a completely novel set of challenges now, which might make it unlikely that they can pull off their historic economic heist once again. One issue which is naturally hard to overcome for the Italians is their aging population. With around 24% of their population above the age of 65 and even more quickly reaching their retirement, Italy is faced with a serious workforce crisis. To further exacerbate things, Italy's birth rate is also quite low, which means that fewer people will join the workforce to make up for the void left behind by Italy's aging population crisis. To worsen this workforce crisis, an increasing number of Italian graduates are leaving the country to seek better opportunities abroad. Italy's membership of the European Union further worsens this calamity, since Italians looking to move elsewhere don't even require visas to work in a handful of countries in Europe. Subtly put, economic growth is unlikely to be achieved without a substantial workforce, and sadly for Italy, they just don't have the numbers. As mentioned earlier, tax collection has always been a struggle for the Italian government. This is evident through the expansive black market in Italy. The black market here mainly consists of undocumented small businesses working in the gray. With no strict policies in place and numerous loopholes, the black market continues to grow and is estimated to be worth around $200 billion. This is insane for a developed economy such as that of Italy. It's a shame how simple legislation and proper enforcement might have been all that Italy needed to get itself out of this fiasco. What is even worse is that it's unlikely that Italy will be able to properly tax their shadow economy. With severe poverty, especially in the southern part of Italy, Italians are unlikely to register their businesses, which warrants lengthy governmental procedures, only to end up paying taxes that will severely cut into their revenue. This, coupled with a growing distrust of the state, only points towards a worsening situation for Italian tax collectors. Another serious problem faced by the Italian economy is the prevalence of small businesses. Italy on average has 3.6 workers per company, which is significantly less than the average of Western Europe, which is 16. Italian businesses effectively have almost 4 times less workforce than that in other parts of Europe. This consequently leads to lesser specialization and, unsurprisingly, lesser productivity per worker. With a single employee taking on multiple roles, the company's productivity is negatively impacted. Take a mozzarella processing plant, for instance. If one worker has to tend the cows, pasteurize the milk, and package the cheese, it would take significantly longer while also reducing the worker's productivity. With 3 different workers specializing in specific roles, productivity would be enhanced and could also allow for production on a larger scale. This would also help reduce costs and maximize profits, further incentivizing more production. What further sets back Italian businesses is their failure to integrate technology into their production methods. With the advent of technology and the development of tailor-made software for specific needs, economies have become revolutionized, and productive capabilities have been enhanced like never before. Italy, on the other hand, has failed to incorporate these technological advancements into their production methods and has lagged behind the rest of the world as a consequence. While smaller and traditional businesses help maintain better quality standards, the trade-off of productivity and production capacity has severely damaged the Italian economy. Other European countries simply jumped on the bandwagon and benefited greatly, whereas Italy just slowly became a backdrop in Europe's success. As of now, Italy looks in troubling waters. It faces a stagnant economic output, unproductive and uncompetitive industries, high unemployment, low tax revenue, an aging population, and high debt with piling levels of interest payment. Not to mention their weak position on the European front means they have less control over their currency now than they have historically had. It seems as if everything has come to haunt the Italian economy all at once. So what can be done to pull Italy out of this mess? Unfortunately, the hands of Italian policymakers are tied here, since the problems they face are so multifaceted. If they attempt to borrow more to finance this hazard, they risk becoming bankrupt and falling deeper into the trench. If they attempt to raise taxes to finance this economic burden, they will crush their local and small-scale industry, curtailing economic growth for the worst. If they decide to sit idly and do nothing, well, then it only gets worse from here on. While it's uncertain whether they will be able to come out of this, it's guaranteed that it won't be easy for them to regain their same old economic might. The world has changed drastically since Italy's last economic downfall in the 1990s, and competition is at an all-time high. With this increased competitiveness, every country is making every minute effort it can to keep one step ahead of the competition. Italy, however, has just failed to keep up. Even if it miraculously manages to get out of this fiasco in the years to come, it would only find itself further behind in the race to be competitively the best. And that's it for today. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more updates, and ring that bell so you never miss out on our exciting videos.